Hello everybody and welcome back to another video, and this is going to be my review of Joker starring Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Todd Phillips. And going into this movie I was very excited, but prior to seeing all these trailers I was very sort of cautious about this film being a standalone Joker movie, not including Batman, really in any capacity, right? But also the fact that this movie was written and directed by Todd Phillips, like that's the guy who did the Hangover franchise and Due Date starring Robert Downey Jr. And like I'd never really seen anything outside of that guy's like comedy sort of like genre. Like I think he came out with was it War Dogs with Miles Teller and Jonah Hill a couple years ago. I heard some pretty good things about that movie, but for the most part, I mean, once they cast Joaquin Phoenix, it was like, okay, I'm all in on this movie, and like that's an actor that the fan community has really wanted to see portray the Joker for quite some time. Like he was one of the guys, you know, after Heath Ledger passed away, like he was one of the sort of front runners in the fan community to portray this character. And this movie was just, it was really absolutely everything I wanted to see in a Joker movie. And I feel like there's so much about this movie that could be discussed for like years to come, and just the way people could interpret it. Like some things you might think were true, but there's other things that it really could have just been in his head, and some things do play out that way. Not to get too much into spoilers, but like I don't know, this movie was just done in a way that like you don't see comic book movies done this way. And this was a big sort of risk for Warner Brothers making a movie like this. And they sort of seemed to keep the budget in. I think it was like around $50 million. But just the performance that Joaquin Phoenix did in this film is just absolutely phenomenal. And I don't see a scenario coming this spring or this winter when the Oscars are held where this guy doesn't win the best actor award. Like the guy's definitely getting nominated, but it just the amount of screen time this guy has as the Joker, it's like 95% of the time Joaquin Phoenix is on the screen and he owns it every second, and he makes this character his own, but it feels familiar. And I thought like the origin of this character of like Arthur Fleck and how he sort of like transforms into this character was just great. And he's sort of this like abused person, and like he just cannot get a break. He lives in a terrible apartment, and he's working this shitty job as like a clown for hire, and just everything about this guy is just a tragedy. But like in the movie quotes, like he used to think his life was a tragedy, but it turns out it's a comedy. And oh my God, this movie is just, it's just so interesting, and it's just a great character study of the Joker. And I was just blown away by this movie. And you know, if you have not seen this movie, it's definitely a slow burn for at least the first half of it. You know, it's not your average comic book movie. It doesn't have, you know, your superhero fight sequences, and you know you're gonna walk out of this movie not feeling the greatest. But just as far as like a movie from a technical side, like this is just an absolutely phenomenal movie. And you know, it's interesting, it's thought provoking, and you can discuss with your friends like what actually happened. Like I don't know, I was just blown away by this movie. And you know, I don't foresee them doing a sequel, but man, do I want to see more of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. And this movie also does some great tie-ins to the DC universe. You know, you have characters like Thomas Wayne, and you know, Bruce Wayne is in the movie, a small role, and he's just a kid, but still, I just thought it handled everything great, and it doesn't try to be, I don't know, I just feel like it like the type of movie they were going for, it just fits that ever so perfectly. And I don't know, I just thought this movie was just incredible. It's artsy. It's, these filmmakers, taking a character that's so ingrained in pop culture and sort of, going a different route with it. And I think that, like, in this whole sort of like this sort of comic book wave that we're in right now, it's like the biggest movies of every year are comic book movies. I feel like it's okay to sort of go off and, take other characters and make these kind of like character study movies with them. So I would just like to see more of that. But like, the Joker is incredible. This is a movie I want to go see a second time because like you can interpret things different every single time you watch this movie. Like what's real, what's not. Just the whole psychological aspect about it. And just the whole like dynamic between like the Joker being a stand-up comic and, wanting to be on Robert De Niro's character's like talk TV show, I thought was great. And just the way this movie ends, man, I just thought it was great. And I don't know, like it's just a movie that you can talk to your friends with for forever. So guys, let me know what you thought of Joker down below in the comment section. I had a great time watching this movie. I want to see it again. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'm Rex Overdrive. I'll see you next time.